Hey guys, I'm Mustached here, aka Mustached Tom, here to review the movie The Marvels. If you haven't enjoyed this movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, try to check out this list in the description. I'm going to do my petition to help out small YouTubers. Second and third to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly, or my Discord server, which I'll link below the show and a lot more stuff. And show that you can find it at the end. Let's get into Marvels. So, obviously I have seen the trailer for this one and immediately thoughts on that was that Phase 4 and 5 of the Marvel Universe, or MCU rather, has already been struggling severely, and those were symptoms of just course correction, reshoots, voice actor stuff, all this other, finagling. And despite all of that, they kept moving forward with this movie. And it is, after watching it, it is pretty clear that there was an entire gap of thing what they wanted to do, didn't get to do, but now they have to do this. Almost more so an obligation, as issues weren't already piling on Phase 4 and 5 enough. If you haven't seen one of my thumbnails, it was literally a graveyard. Encapsulated on that graveyard was essentially all of the names of the original Avengers, dictating that the Avengers we know are all dead. Meaning that the MCU, by its very proxy, is also just a walking corpse at this point, if the analogy is to be carried full through. So, we're watching a corpse, which is not very fun. And we have to see, well, I'm pretty sure you can say as objectively as possible. You can probably already tell which way I'm leaning based on what I'm already saying. But, hey, we're here now. Anyway, so the movie begins, and we start with our main bad guy, whose name I couldn't be asked to remember, if I'm being quite honest. She has a hammer thing in the bob, and she obtains the other half of this bracelet, which Kamala Khan, if you watched her own series, came across in her show, and became that version of or Miss Marvel, whatever you want to call her. And just so that there isn't any confusion, I will refer to each Marvel as their given human name, I suppose. Just so that there's no mix-up in who's who or who's transporting her to. Because that is the entire gimmick of this movie, or at least most of it. Anyway, so, grabbing from her movie, or rather series, I should say, they follow her style, I suppose, relatively close to what it was, keeping that comic art style in display. So the movie actually starts out pretty neat. You're looking like, okay, so this is actually going to be really fun, you would think. But then we cut to earlier that day. We cut to Carol, our, main middle character there, who's, trying to remember stuff about her first movie, which, I guess she lost her memories somehow. I don't remember anything in the first movie that indicated that she lost her memories. Anyway, we're going to be talking about a whole gap, so get ready for it, because, yeah, anyway, Nick Fury makes contact, with Monica, who's hinted at she's currently in space, I'll just be blunt, they don't do a great job in explaining her powers. Apparently during one of making contact with the Scarlet Witch gave her powers, apparently. I guess that's how you can obtain your powers too, I guess. I think that's the way they describe it anyway. Because they, like, cut it between here and then another part of the film as well. Anyway, so Carol heads out, and we are now moving back into the present time, lining it back up where we just were. And for some reason, two of the three of them decide to touch this energy thingamabob that is like going over the and they're like fascinated by just touching it for some reason. No explanation for that, but this is what allows them to teleport with one another. So, at first, all three jump positions. So Kamala ends up in space, and yes, she ends up in the spacesuit just so that she lives. And the other two, Carol ends up in her place, in her house, that being, and Monica ends up in Carol's place. Presumably, since you would have to shift one over each for that to make any logical sense, I suppose. So now the movie just completely shits the bed, or its plot. And Marvel teleports again, and she's like on this ship for some reason. She just begins fighting these guys, as if like we're supposed to make any sense of why she's doing any of this. But apparently, I guess they already know who the bad guys are, and they try to make sense of it in this movie. So I'm just gonna spoil this now. There's clearly a sequel that they wanted to do in the Marvels with only main Captain Carol Marvel there. Between this and, well, this, but they're just inserting it into the movie now, because apparently we get a whole backstory about how she went to some planet named Kala, killed this AI, and then is trying to atone for it in this movie, and atone for it. So, yeah, that is, again, a plot to a completely separate movie that is now having to be explained to us in a short 3-minute span. Just so we know, again, it just starts kicking butt, taking names. I guess we're just supposed to buy that these are the bad guys, I guess, again, with no proper setup yet that that's the case, at least from the audience, so I can't say that I'd be surprised if most audiences didn't come out of this movie very confused. But hey, we have more teleport shenanigans. So for some reason or other, apparently when two of them use their powers, two of them end up switching places. Or at least I think that's what the movie tries to fly us off on, because I guess whenever a singular one uses their powers, it's fine, I guess? So, really, they didn't have to go through any of this, if that's true. If only one of them had to use their power, I mean, they could have still relied on Captain Marvel for the most part, but even if they had to, let's say, switch for the sake of, you know, keeping it fair, or whatever you want to say, you could have just had each one say, like, hey, I'm about to attack, or, you know, they had comms to communicate with one another. You could just have one attack at a time, and then you're all set. No teleporting happens in that scenario. How about that? That's crazy, right? If only that was consistent in the movie. Oh darn, that consistency always just... I don't know. Anyway. So yeah. So, Carol ends up in the house again. And thus, due to the multiple teleports Nick Fury gets to be involved in this whole situation, arriving at their house, Kamala's house to be specific. But hey, during this fighting sequence when people are... alien baddies are being transported into the house, because I guess when a Marvel teleports with an object in their hands, that object or other person teleports with them too. I guess this is extending the thing. So yeah, baddies end up in Kamala's house. One of them almost kills the mom, and then he has his weapon up, and then he has enough time, by the way, to swing down and totally kill her, but he stops just to give one of the Marvels enough time just to take him out. So, consideration and all that. Or, just bad choreography. Either way, not great. Either way you splice it. Anyway. So yeah, we have teleportation up the wazoo. Monica updates Carol about the whole teleporting situation and how it's all working and how, or theorizing how it's working anyway. And just because she needs to, because Kamala ended up high up, because that's where Carol was. Apparently, Kamala, among the three of them, can't fly yet, anyway. But Monica apparently also can't fly yet, but suddenly gains the access to do so because she needs to save Kamala and for the plot to continue, so she just gains the ability to fly. Because that's seemingly how this works now. When you need a power, you just obtain it now. That's of course. Anyway, moving right along. So she joins. They all unite, eventually. And, of course, there's more switching while fighting together now happening, and it leaves them a little bit kerfuffled, but for the most part, it's not too bad. So we get this whole bit about the scroll betraying the Kree. Now, I don't know what the Kree are in comparison to the scroll. The movies haven't done a great job of explaining the difference between scroll and Kree. I don't read the comics, and I don't expect to ever read the comics afterwards, because I think that this movie should do that anyway. It should tell us the difference between scroll and Kree, because I honestly don't know the difference, and it feels like, forcing people to know the material is a little bit lazy on their part. And they talk about, or at least the bad guy talks about sending the Annihilator, and at first I didn't know what they were talking about. Apparently this is in reference to Carol. Apparently Carol is now called the Annihilator, due to the missing movie that has now to have to be explained. And apparently, without the planet's AI, their sun started to float. Yeah, I don't get that part either, but hey, I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know how either of those two things connect, and I can't really give you a great explanation, so I'm not gonna bother. Anyway. So, So, after all that's been settled, they're on this planet with the scrolls, they're helping out where they can, and this is where the movie starts to, I think, forget or when they use their powers at certain times, because there's like parts where one of them are flying, and I guess it's a power that doesn't count as using your powers, so they don't teleport immediately or soon after using their fly ability. So yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And then Marvel, off-screen, by the way, makes contact with one of her friends to take the scroll away from the scene of their home place being eviscerated by the bad guys. And again, we get more exploration about this in-between movie, on why she was called the Annihilator. Now, the enemy that she took off in her not movie was called the Supreme Intelligence. So again, sounds like a missing movie right there. Whoopsie daisy, never gonna get that, I guess. Anyway, after that whole shtick, they're on the ship. So Monica first joins up with Carol in fixing up the ship. Meanwhile, Monica used her power yet again, singular, but she doesn't end up switching, so there are other ports where one of them uses a power, by the way, just so this is clear, and they teleport with one of the other ones who's not using their power, so yeah, I don't know what else to tell you except the rules are fucked in this movie entirely. So, Monica needed her back. At least that's what Monica says from her perspective, and Carol expresses that she needed to be elsewhere, fixing up her whole not movie mistake in Hala, this other planet that she quote-unquote fucked by fighting the AI, which somehow fucked over the sun. Yes, I said that sentence, and boy, howdy, wow. Anyway, so Kamala's trying to figure out the name of Monica's Marvel name, I suppose. So she goes with Professor Marvel, which, fine, whatever, just call her that and let her call herself that, but she's not on board, because we need some comedy, and that's about the only comedy that is to be seen in this movie, at least from what I was seeing, I think. Because the other scene of comedy, I'm pretty sure was an unintentional horror. Because they shot it like an unintentional horror. And boy oh boy, we're gonna get there. But that's for later. So anyways, we learn more about the band that Kamala owns and the other one. We learn through exposition that these two bands are apparently quantum bands. I don't know what that means, and nor does her explanation help me understand this any better, so excuse me for just saying that's what they were called, and leaving it at that, because I don't know what that fucking means, based off the explanation that they give here. So yeah, apparently Monica was among the people that were blipped, because remember the blip? That thing that took out 50% of the population and then was undid at a certain point, and then people were brought back conveniently. And there's sometimes not drama, and then there are other parts where there are drama where they just want to bring up the blip. Yeah, that thing. So apparently she comes to the conclusion with more of these jump points that they're establishing in this movie is going to equal a worse and worse time. So meanwhile, while that's happening, Kamala's parents get spaced because their home is already in you know. But I don't know, bringing the space seemed a little extreme, but whatever. Anyways, it's time for our three heroines to finally figure out what the hell's going on. And so we have a little montage of them teleporting with their powers, because they know that they're going to end up doing it anyway. They're practicing little smaller tricks, like jump rope and holding books up and jump rope and catching a ball or something is like the other one they do in there. So anyways, after their little montage, they travel to another planet, singing planet, because we needed music in this movie, I guess? I don't know. But hey, Captain Carol Danvers Marvel is a princess here, apparently. Again, this happened not in the first movie, so this happened in between in that not movie that doesn't exist totally, that happened, that it totally also didn't happen. So yeah, this is happening now. So she sings too, because that's their way of meaning. It turns out that he can just talk, I guess, so it's all fine. He gets them their costumes, which I'm not sure how he had possession of all three of them. And then the bad guys arrive. How about that? Once again, we have Monica using her powers, but no teleportation shenanigans happen. But they change later, don't worry. Anyway, Monica tackles the bad guy. Kamala joins the fray, but now she notices that Kamala has the other bracelet. Oops. But teleports back with Carol. Only one of them using their powers, so yeah, that thing I just described as breaking things again. Surprise, surprise. And, of course, when someone's using another power boost singularly, that being in Kamala, we have another issue of her not teleporting again. Oh, darn. It just seems like this consistency is at least remaining consistent. So anyways, after all that nonsense, apparently we learn more about how taking out this AI just made their world worse, or they're exploring it after the fact. And Monica agrees with the main bad guy, saying that they can use Carol as a source of power to power up their missing son, essentially. Which is something she's never done before, what she's going to do now, because, you know, powers just happen to come when you need it, just like last time. We have a moment where, when they're on the ship once again, or wherever they are, and we have our moment where Kel has a small moment to patch things up with Monica, and then next up with Kamala and water shipping of Carol, I suppose. And then we jump cuts to Fury's ship suddenly being in trouble. Now, I'm not sure how this happened. The bad guys weren't there yet, so I shrug and go, I don't know. It seems like an event that is just leading to one of the most what is happening scenes I think I've seen in a Marvel movie to date. Outside of kids being given war powers, which was actual fuck. But this is, you know, relatively close to, like, and also just what the fuck. As, their plan, because their ship is being destroyed, is to have a bunch of those cats, the ones that, the one with the tentacle creature. Oh, by the way, there's a cat that's also a tentacle creature, proceeded at some point in this movie to give birth to several other cats who also possess this ability, to go around the ship and proceed to eat everybody. And the scene literally plays like a horror movie as people are running away from a bunch of cats that proceed to eat them, and our heroines have to suggest or force them to be eaten by the cats so they can all be absorbed into the cats so that the cats can all be put aboard the ships, because I guess they couldn't all fit on the amount of escape pods, thusly leading them back to Earth, and then having all the cats spit them all back out once upon back on Earth. And who knows, maybe one of those cats will never undigest its course of meal being a human being. Who the fuck knows? I mean, we didn't see everybody get teleported back out of the cat belly, so I'm just gonna shrug and say, who knows how many lives were lost during this cascading events of what the fuckery. But yeah, that was a scene. And boy howdy, was it just making me go, what am I watching right now? What is this? Why? Who wrote this? Who seriously wrote, and then a bunch of cats will eat the people on the ship with their tentacle powers? Who paraphrase wrote that nonsense and said, yeah, that works? I don't know. You know, you could have just had it so that the ship had enough escape pods. Fuck me for just thinking of the simplistic answers, I suppose. But no, we wanted to go with the horror route, or pretend horror route, as if everyone survived, and again I go, oh, I don't know if that's even the case, and yeah, we proceed. Anyway, so, Carol indeed wants to help out with the bad guy's planet as intended, but, she, that being the main bad guy, takes the other bracelet. Now, this is where the movie gets fucky-wucky in ways I don't think I can even explain. She does the Wonder Woman move where she bangs the bracelets together and proceeds to, while in space, explode. She dies. Due to her own folly in colliding two bracelets with power. I want you to keep that in mind, as later in the movie, Kamala, who's inexperienced with one bracelet, gains access to the other bracelet and does the same exact thing and is totally fine. Because she has powers, I guess, but does the main bad guy not have powers? I mean, it seems like, from what I could tell, she, like, bumps her power from her inner self to her hammer to the bracelet, is how I read the entire sequence of how this works. And thusly, when she has two bracelets, though, that shatters her. Literally shatters her into pieces and then explodes. But again, Kamala doing it, she's totally fine. But hey, there's a split in time and space, so we gotta figure out how to close that now. So yeah, she does that. Monica then absorbs all of her powers, the Banglet, as well as Carol's powers on top of the messed up Banglet, double Banglet power, and she's totally fine, because she has an absorption power that just, I guess she always had. I don't know, but whatever. But that means that she's on the other side of the portal. Oopsie daisy. So yeah, they get separated by a dimension or whatever. Thus, we cut back to Carol helping Kamala help her family move into this house that I guess that she used to have or whatever. And thus, we then cut to our sequence before the end credits, which is here to primarily set up the next thing that I'm sure that will be another success, is Kamala Khan being among the new young Avengers, seeks out Kate Bishop from her show that I totally never watched, because I don't know what it's called, and I don't really care about it anyway. So she also manages to pick up Ant-Man's daughter too, on top of Kate Bishop. So she's clearly forming her own young Avengers squad. Yeah, Young Avengers, that's where we're going next, everybody. But wait, there's more! Because after the credits, we see Monica where she ended up. She sees her mom, who in this universe is not her mom, so yeah, they have to deal with that. But hey, we also see the Beast from the X-Men. That's right, we're bringing back the X-Men. Because, fuck, we're desperate to bring back the X-Men. The last successful X-Men movie was the second or third one? I don't even remember, if I'm being quite frank. Yeah, X-Men, woo! No, there was like that one other X-Men movie that was good, though. That was like, man, I don't remember it, though. I don't remember what it was called. That was great. But yeah, X-Men's coming back, I guess. Fun. Anyway, that was the Marvels, though, and boy howdy, was that, not great. From the gimmick not making any logical sense to the characters not really having that many, opportunities to be characters, and we're kind of thrust into this plot because Carol suddenly decides that it's time to do so and beat up a bunch of bad guys that, in accordance to her, are bad guys, I guess. And yeah, like, this plot literally runs on a movie that doesn't exist. That's the movie. This movie runs on a plot of a movie that does not exist. That's the whole thing of this movie. It literally vacuumed into existence because they couldn't be bothered to say, you know what, fuck, put this movie on super hold, let's shoot this new movie, clearly, insert it first so that this movie can at least make some logical sense, rather than us having to fill in that entire gap of a movie that's clearly non-existent and go, oh, and we're also going to add a gimmick that we're not going to maintain or keep track of or do any of that stuff, because that's too much work. And then finally proceed to get so little in the work of character that the only moments that are there are far and few between, outside of pure horror and comedy. And that was the Marvels. In terms of a score, I think this is one of the first few movies I'd probably give a 1 out of 10 to. If that, only because of those scenes that are present that are something to attach to character work, I suppose. So yeah, a 1 out of 10. Not something I usually give out, but I think that this movie is, perhaps the worst Marvel movie to exist thus far, and mainly because because of the way it came about, and not for any other reasons. And even within that, they couldn't even keep it consistent within itself. Even if that movie did exist, suppose it did exist, even with that, I don't think that would entirely fix the entire movie. I mean, it would fix a huge chunk of the missing plot that I feel, as an audience, owed at the very most. But no, we have to gap it and then mess with the gimmick too. So, yeah, it really just falls apart on every level from that sequence of non-events. But hey, that's my review of the Marvels. And if you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One of those are my petition. To help out small YouTubers to get their feet on PayPal with my Discord